How beautiful is that? It was the music.
It's lovely, isn't it? Thanks to her care home's TikTok account, Joan's video has already been seen by 200,000 views. She joined us alongside her granddaughter, her favourite granddaughter, Nicola.
The world. Your favourite granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not your favourite. Oh, you're not my favourite. Well, I love you all.
Yeah, but Nicola's the best.
Yes, Joan, you can't have favourites, can you? You can't have favourites.
Not in a family.
No, but
she's the one that's on telly, isn't she, with you?
I've got 24 grandchildren.
Exactly. They're all your favourites, aren't they?
Everyone.
I just say,
they are,
just so
really.
you don't have to remember all their names, I just say Nicola is your favourite.
Yeah, just say Nicola, she rocks.
So, Joan, how did this happen? How did you go viral, Joan?
What were you doing, Nan, at the home with Sophie, putting your makeup on?
Yes.
And then what happened? How many people saw you?
Thousands.
I know. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
And was you reading all the comments and everything, what they were saying about you?
Well, not all of them, because I didn't want to read the dirty ones. You're not going to tell me there wasn't a few.
There's a few dirty ones.
I think they were all clean, Nan. You're all right.
No.
And all you was doing is putting on your makeup, and this is something that you do every single day, and you think you should put your makeup on.
Every day. When I get up, I go down and I have a wash.
Yeah.
Then I start to put my clothes on.
Yeah.
Right, makeup, where are you? And I slap it on.
You slap
Even
that
if I
makeup
don't go
on.
out.
Yeah, slap on, yeah.
And it just makes you feel better. I think makeup is the one thing that makes you feel like a little girl, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does make you feel better. If I go outside, if I go to the dustbin and I'll be like, oh, get in the house.
Joan, you're 103 years old. I can't believe it. You don't look a day over 70.
Oh, how lovely.
You do not look a day over 70, honestly. And I'm just saying, you're 103 years old. And did you even know what TikTok was?
No, I thought it was a clock.
Well, Nicola, what happened?
Well, I thought TikTok was a clock.
Yeah, well, so do
Honestly.
I, to be fair. I mean, I don't know too much
I never
about
knew what it
But you're a viral sensation. Everybody loves you. And everyone's taking your tips now to put their makeup on.
Makeup tips.
God, I've got no tips to give you.
You're just doing what you're doing, right?
Yes.
And they're loving it. Nicola, how did this all come about? What happened?
So, Nan has always put her makeup on every morning. I've never seen Nan without a makeup.
No,
She's
you
always
haven't.
glammed up.
No.
And then the one morning, lovely Sophie from Millcroft Care Home, she was there and she said, I'll take a video of you, Joan. And it just went crazy.
Yeah.
I saw it on my Facebook page and I was like, oh, look, showing around the family, look at Nan. We were like, oh, my goodness. And then when next time I visited Nan, Sophie was like, look at your Nan on TikTok. And Nan kept saying, what's going on that clock? What's going on about that clock?
And the maddest thing is you got over 200,000
She did.
views. I mean,
She
it's probably
did.
more than that now. It's probably at 500,000 by now. This was on the 14th of April. You've gone viral and all you did was put your blusher on.
Yes.
Next thing you know, you're getting freebies sent left, right and centre.
Everywhere, yes, everywhere. And everybody's coming on and going, ooh.
Everyone's bowing.
And Joan, has your technique changed at all through the years, or are you doing the same thing you did when you were...
No, I just do just plod along and do the same old thing.
Wonderful.
And you know when you put your blusher on, do you smile to put the blusher on or not?
No, I did it first, and then I thought, well, when I drop that, it might... I don't do it. So I don't do it
you just
now.
put it on.
Put it on, yes, and brush it off.
But
like
you are
that.
beautiful, you know. I mean, you say it on the video, or was it Sophie who said it's on the video?
She's beautiful.
Everyone tells you how beautiful you are. Do you feel beautiful?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Are you actually joking? You're stunning.
No, I don't really.
Oh, but you are, Nan.
I don't like
You are.
all this upper.
She loves a downer.
Well, can you give us a little bit of a demonstration, Joan? Because we want to get a few tips, because obviously we're on this morning. It's a big show. People want to know your tips. Could you just go through a little bit of your routine for us?
Can
Show us
do,
your
yes.
blush,
And
Nan. Your
explain
rouge.
everything for us.
Where's my mirror?
Do you want me to hold your mirror?
Is
No,
rouge
I
blush?
can't
Is it
do
the
it.
same thing?
I didn't know that, but yes, it is.
Is it?
Stick your rouge
is
on, Nan.
And
Yeah.
that's a blusher, isn't it?
It is.
Rouge is a blush.
Yeah. Sticky rouge.
Is it always rouge back
Do
in
you want
the
me
day?
to hold your mirror for you?
it,
I'll
that's
hold
it.
your mirror.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
There you go. Can you
Thanks,
see yourself?
Alison.
You're so stunning. There you go.
I've got to
So what are you
watch
doing now? What are you doing first? What have you just done? Just wipe it straight on with a sponge?
Yes, just give it a wipe over, you know, and I think of always how much on there. If there isn't, you have to put some more on.
Right, OK. So there's your mirror. Go on, bang it on. See, you're already beautiful without it, to be fair, but you are even more beautiful with it.
Doesn't need it.
No, I'm not. I'm just an old woman. Come off it.
You're not just an old
just
woman.
an
Do you
old
know
woman.
something? We're all going to be there. Well,
We're lucky.
Hopefully, I will get to 100.
And we're all going to die together, so it don't matter, does
Exactly.
it?
We all go to the same place, don't
Of course
we,
we
darling?
do. So just talk to me when you see me there.
Without a doubt. Don't ignore you. Don't
When you
ignore
do
you.
tutorials up there.
I shall have my stick in the fire if you ignore
Come on, put
me.
some on me then. Give me a little bit as well. Come on.
Oh, wait
Don't share the love.
Wait a
What about me? Oh, stunning.
Well done, Nan.
Just flick it on.
Oh, you look
Flick
stunning.
it
Let's
on.
have a look.
That's all it
Flick
is.
on. Come on, give me a bit then.
Oh,
I'm
right.
ready. Come on. I want a
Now,
little bit.
Mother, don't be so hasty.
All right.
Oh, I can't turn round.
All right, got me. Make me look beautiful.
Oh, you're beautiful
that's
enough,
lovely.
you are.
Oh, thank
Wow,
my dear.
Nan, well done.
Don't make me even though. Make me even. Go on.
Now,
Henry.
stop it, will you? What have I told you? Of
You are a lot older. You've got to respect your elders, ain't you, Bab?
course you have. I'm older than you. Am I? I don't know.
You don't look it. I bet you're so proud of your grandma, aren't you?
Yeah, she's my mate as well.
Come on, even me up. Don't leave me hanging.
I've got 24 grandchildren.
Yeah.
25 now, but
And she always says, I'm the best, aren't I, Nan? I'm your best friend.
Joan, I've only got one cheek done. Come on.
I
I've
know.
got the rest of the show to do.
Did I tell you not to moan?
You did.
Yeah.
Well, shut up then. Now, shut up and behave yourself.
Thank you. Can I have a kiss?
I'm a,
You're lovely.
Oh,
You are
love
lovely.
it.
I know you're only playing. You're so gorgeous. You really are. Thank you so much. Well, we've got the tips. Just bang it on.
Bang
Yeah.
it on.
Yes,
look
Bang
great.
it on there.
Great. I look good. She can do me during the break.
Let's go in there.
Lovely. Joan,
Thank you,
thank you for
Joan.
coming on the show. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you for having us.
Beautiful.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning. But we're starting today by meeting a mother who's challenging the norm by refusing to tell her friends and family if her 4-year-old is a boy or a girl.
Leah Borromeo hasn't even told her child what gender they are, and she joins us now to tell us why. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
Very
Leah.
nice
Thanks
to
for
see
joining
you.
us.
So this was something that you decided you were going to do long before Riley was born.
Very much so. Yes, it's
Why?
because my partner and I were both quite committed to equity, and we both saw and observed how we were raised as children, and how we kind of got a little bit annoyed. So when I was being brought up, I remember telling my mom, why, or asking them, like, why are boys always allowed to do everything they want to do, but girls just have to sit still and be quiet? And for me, that seemed really unfair. And the same thing for my male partner as well, because he was undergoing a lot of things as a kid, and he was being told and being restricted from doing certain things within, his upbringing, not by his parents, but by other people presuming that, of course, he was going to be good at sports, of course he was going to be doing, of course he was, but this was all the stuff that I just didn't sit right with us.
Right.
And
So you decided that you were going to raise your child gender-free. Can you just explain exactly what that involves and what that means?
so for us, it means not telling anybody necessarily what or ascribing a gender to them. So it's not saying you are one of an either binary. So their sex is their sex. And so when we are at the doctor's or anywhere else, it's kind of like, okay, this, or with a passport, for instance, or their birth certificate, the sex is their sex. The gender, of course, is how you feel inside. So what we're more concerned about and what we're focused on is making sure that they are able to discover what they are inside. And so other parents who are in the sort of gender creative community or in the gender free community, some of them do use a binary pronoun, but they still allow their children the freedom to play and to dress and to act in whatever way they choose. But one thing we've observed about that is once you assign a gender to somebody, immediately people will change their behavior. And we noticed this in the delivery room when we heard people talking about newborns having such strong muscles and being brave little soldiers and being delicate princesses. And it's like, they're just babies. They're both strong because they made it this far, but they're also very delicate because they need us to survive.
Is that a problem, though? Do you think it's a problem when people will describe the newborn baby that might be a boy as saying, doesn't he look strong, he's going to be really brave, and a little girl or a newborn girl as she looks like a beautiful princess? Is that a bad thing?
It's in an isolated circumstance, I don't think anything is necessarily bad. But once it just keeps getting repeated, and once it keeps being reiterated, then there is a chance that this child will only see themselves as pretty. They will only see themselves as this, and they will only see themselves as strong. And then maybe they're not. Maybe they don't feel that way. And that, for us, is something that we didn't want to do. So we've used pretty much everything in both.
So when Riley was born, and you obviously, you spoke to your family and they must have been so happy. What did you say to them at that moment? And were they surprised when you didn't say, oh, we've had a little boy or we've had a little girl?
Oh, I mean,
how did they react?
We had a lockdown baby, so it was a little bit stranger than other circumstances. So Riley's first interaction with any family member was through a Zoom call.
Right.
There goes my screen-free childhood. Literally.
That's a whole nother battle.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So when we did that, it was like, hello, hi, and I was just tired. And Riley was just kind of, nuzzling, half asleep and cooing and everything else. And then somebody in my family just went, so a boy or a girl? And I said, well, they haven't told us yet.
And what was the response?
I think that kind of, it wrong-footed some of them, because there's quite a few on the screen. So I couldn't really see which ones. I just kind of responded to the person who was asking. And someone said, but you must know, you must, and I went, no.
And interestingly, when you say they, you don't mean the midwives, the doctors, you mean Riley.
Yeah.
Riley hasn't told you yet whether they are a boy or a girl.
Correct.
Which is an extraordinary sort of position to take. I mean, it's so unusual to hear. We're both parents, we've all been there, your family are waiting, you want to know. Whether you wait to find out whether it's a surprise or not. I wonder how complicated it's been, though, Leah, for you and your partner, and equally for Riley. Riley's 4 now, right? So how complicated is it navigating a world where you've chosen to bring them up like that?
So in the sort of admin stakes of things, because you have to get a birth certificate, you have to do all of that clerical stuff. If they ask for a sex, we provide it. If they ask for a gender, usually what we do is we'll call them up or we'll send them an email and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. And oftentimes they'll be like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize that we put that on the form, because they just presumed that sex equals gender and gender equals sex. So oftentimes what they did is they either say, well, you don't have to answer that, or here's a third option. So most often, I'd say about 90% of the time, people are, and sort of, even institutions, like our doctor, for instance, they offered us another option. Back in the day, the American government also offered us another option.
Yeah.
So,
which I think sounds actually doable when you're in a controlled environment like that, and when you're, with Riley most of the time. But when Riley then has to go to school, what is that going to be like for them?
Yeah, well, we're starting school in September.
Right.
And so we delayed them by a year because they were summer born, and we thought, hey,
They're late
just,
for the year,
let's just give them another year to play.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when we were at nursery, for instance, the nursery was like, oh, we've not encountered this before.
Okay.
Let's bring you in and let's have a conversation. And then they brought in other speakers to also have a conversation about it. So all the staff and all the parents and everyone in the wider nursery group suddenly got hip to it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's really good. And other people were really quite accepting of it. And so they just took it in their stride.
There is a moment, though, isn't there, I think, Leah, that people will be sitting at home. We have lots of parents watching the show with parents, and they'll say, look, when your children are in nursery and 4, it's lovely, but the kids don't necessarily notice so much. They run around and it's all easy. As you go to school and they get a bit older, it gets more complicated, and there's older kids as well.
And you can't protect them so much.
And all you really want to do is make their lives as easy as possible.
Yeah.
What do you say to people that will look at you and what you and your partner have decided to do with Riley and say, you're not making their life easy. This is making their life more complicated.
I can totally hear that. And, we have had not much because we chose the primary school that they're going to be going to because of its accepting and open and sort of approach to kind of educating kids. And a lot of the children there are already in that sort of mindset. So one of the things that we really want to do fundamentally now is to build up Riley's resilience and to build up their ability to be able to answer this for themselves.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's like, so what about this? Why aren't you doing this? Aren't they traumatized? Aren't they in some way shocked? Or aren't you doing them a disservice? And it's like, ask them. Because they are now more increasingly able to just say who they are. If a
They're
child
only
in the
4,
play,
though. I mean, Leah, at some point,
Yeah.
Riley's going to be a teenager.
Yeah.
And we know the complications that come with being a teenager. And then if they look back and say, I can't believe you complicated my... That would be my concern as a parent. You want to try and get them there, arm them with the ability. I think what you're talking about, making them resilient, is a really, really fantastic quality to be able to help your child with. But that's what I can imagine people at home saying, this is going to get so complicated. Are you doing this for Riley, or are you doing this for yourself and for your partner to try and...
That's a really valid question, a really valid point to ask. And what I would come back on that is who has not had a complicated teenage life? Who has not had an issue with how they have always been brought up? So what we're trying to do is trying to in some way denude it from that complication. So we have quite a lot of friends who didn't necessarily appreciate being put in certain dresses or being treated in certain ways.
So you think the way you're going to do it is going to lessen the complications?
We hope. Everything's going to be complicated.
Sure.
We're looking, this morning I had to say, Riley, please eat your cereal at least 15 times. I resorted to bribery. So there are so many things that are complicated. And now small people, small problems, big people, big problems.
Yeah.
And I know this will get harder. It doesn't get easier, it always gets different.
Yeah. And when you preempt the future, what do you see? Is Riley going to essentially choose?
If they want to.
Right.
The pressure isn't on them to choose. They don't have to.
Okay.
If they feel they need to, they will.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people have already asked, and occasionally they'll say, oh, well, so-and-so says, these kids wear trousers, these kids wear dresses, these kids play with this, and these kids play with that. And I said, well, what do you think? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about somebody saying that to you and saying that you can't do that just because you look a certain way? I was like, that's not fair.
No, it's not fair, and I don't think anybody watching would think any boy or girl shouldn't be allowed to do whatever they want to do, regardless of their gender that they choose to be.
Running in the road, you can't do that.
No, please don't do that.
It's fascinating, Leah. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. Wish you and your partner and Riley all the best. It's going to be exciting when they go to school in September as well. It's a big moment.
Whole new world.
Whole new world.
I'm so nervous.
Yeah, you will be.
As any new mummies.
And Riley will be equally nervous but very excited as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
They say the secret to a happy marriage is to never go to bed on an argument, but maybe it's to actually go to bed with someone else.
That's the theory of Deepa Paul, our guest today, who has a husband and a boyfriend. Good morning, Deepa. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Kat. Good morning, Ben. Lovely to be here.
Great to have you on the sofa. Obviously, as soon as we understand a little bit about you and the book that you've written, there's so many questions that people start asking. We're in conventional relationships, both Kat and I. You have a very different sort of approach. can you just explain a little bit what your status is in your relationship?
So I've been married for 17 years. I've been a mother for 12 years, and I also have a boyfriend of 5 years. And currently, I'm not dating anyone else because, as you can imagine, that's a pretty full plate.
I don't know how you do it all. In all honesty, I've got no idea how you juggle everything.
Well, I could say the same for you. You're walking over here while reading and, being such a bubbly, smiley person. So I think it's just, something that fulfills me is to explore new connections with other people and just see what that reveals about myself. We see ourselves in the mirror of relationships, and I think that's absolutely fascinating work. And part of what I wrote about in the book is how my husband came along with me for that adventure, and a lot of people do ask me how it works, and that's exactly what the book is called.
Well, yeah, because I think you wrote the book because so many people were asking you questions about it. So here is my husband, here is my boyfriend, here I am.
Here I am. So the questions I received were mostly in the beginning from men on dating apps.
Right.
Ask me how it works. It was on my Tinder profile. I said to people, I'm here with my husband, go on, ask me how it works. And 9 times out of 10, people would say, well, I have all these questions. And it began just as an attempt to answer, people's curiosity. But it just grew. It started out as an essay, and it just grew and grew and grew. And, almost 400 pages later, we have a whole book.
So you've got a sort of exploratory book on how it works. But if we go back to when it started deeper, because you're in your marriage with your husband, but then you started feeling like you wanted to explore elsewhere as well. So you started sort of having affairs outside of the relationship, am I right?
Yeah, let's step back a little bit. I come from the Philippines. It's a very conservative culture. Fun fact, one of the last 2 countries in the world where divorce is illegal.
So you cannot get... Is that because of religion?
Yes, absolutely. The other nation, by the way, is Vatican City, population 865.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people getting married there.
Quite a lot of priests there as well.
Yeah, so it was really conservative, and I just always felt I was at odds with the way people saw relationships and pleasure and desire. And then I moved to Amsterdam, which was the real hinge point because it's a very liberal city. And I saw all the different ways people could experience relationships, but also pleasure. And I wanted to try it all. So in the beginning, I explored on my own, but that wasn't really working.
Can I ask a question about that, Dee? Because you're in a relationship, in a marriage with somebody that you're in love with, you have a family. I'm not sure if you had a family then, but how did you deal? Did you cope with guilt in that scenario when you know that you're sort of traditionally within the relationship you aren't supposed to go and have extramarital affairs, and you were? How did you manage that part of it?
Well, I remember feeling kind of guilty and ashamed about how I was and all of these things that I was curious about. I wondered, am I too much? But then part of what I learned is I can ask for what I believe I deserve. You don't have to hide it. You can be upfront and honest with the person you love and trust that they'll accept you. And in the beginning, it wasn't smooth sailing because, stepping out of the bounds of a traditional relationship, it's a process.
Yeah.
But
how did he react?
I was going to say, how did you broach the subject? Like, what did you say? And were you honest about the previous affairs that have been illicit? Or how did you do it?
Well, the affairs kind of came out on their own. It was one affair, and I'd explored online with answering ads on a personal site just to find out about, all these things I was curious about. And when all of that came out into the open, it was a real hinge point, a turning point. So there was a lot of trust that had to be rebuilt. And we really sat down and had to have this kind of come to Jesus conversation about what do I want out of a marriage? What do you want out of a marriage? We'd already been married 10 years at the time. So there was a lot of trust, but also, just this moment kind of, destroyed all that, and it had to be rebuilt. It's not something I would recommend for people who want to dive into open relationships. I wrote about my messes in the book, so you don't have to make them. But, over time and just being consistent with each other and being honest with each other, we came to a place that's really beautiful for both of us.
And what was your husband's initial reaction?
Well, when I first brought up the idea of all the things I wanted to try that I was reading about, he was vehemently against it. He said, decent people don't do these things. Married people don't do these things. But I've always seen marriage as an adventure, as a team undertaking. And I said, I want to go on these adventures with you.
Yeah.
Is there some way we can do that together?
Right.
And polyamory wasn't on the cards when we started out. But now it's an option that for most people exists. A lot of people are exploring it now because of the flexibility and freedom that it gives them.
But what's the exact definition of polyamory?
So for me,
Oh, does it change depending on who you are or how you frame it?
I think so.
Right.
Well, I can't really quote you from a book other than my own, but for me, polyamory means the ability and the capacity to be in multiple intimate and romantic relationships with more than one person.
So you are now in a relationship with your husband and also your boyfriend.
Yes, I am.
Robert, and that's 5 years you've been together?
Yeah, 5 years and counting.
And so initially, I think your relationships were very brief hookups, but you then fell for Robert and actually must have a real connection with him because you've been with him for 5 years. How do he and your husband get along?
Oh, there's a term I want to tell you about, which is called garden party polyamory. It's like both of them encounter each other at social situations. You know, it's like the garden party you go to once a year, maybe like the VE celebration.
Right. Yeah.
And they're quite social with each other. They're very, a lot of respect for each other, but they're not required to be best mates. So there's a healthy respect.
Is there any jealousy?
I think there's envy. So envy is kind of wishing maybe sometimes that one has what the other has. So I have a wonderful domestic life and I'm fully available to my family. And maybe my boyfriend envies that sometimes, but my husband envies the adventure and spontaneity that I have with my boyfriend.
Because you do talk about that and say that perhaps at some point you are going to have to readdress the relationship with your boyfriend because your boyfriend's long-term goals are to have a family and have children, and that's something you couldn't do.
Yes, I was very clear about, what I could offer him at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think setting expectations at the beginning of every relationship should be something everyone does.
Yeah.
So for our relationship, I entered into it knowing that it would probably have to end someday if he finds someone that he wants to have a family with. And that's okay because we can have something beautiful and special and it doesn't have to last forever.
So is he having relationships with other people while he's your girlfriend?
Boyfriend.
Boyfriend, sorry, yeah. Is he having... Yes,
it's complicated. It is complicated.
Does Robert have other partners?
No, he doesn't.
So he's monogamous with you?
Yes.
So you're the only one that's having the cake and eating it and having two...
I'm kind of the hinge between these two relationships. Yeah, that's right.
How would you feel if he does go and find somebody? Would that be difficult for you? Because it feels like if you've been together 5 years, there must be a lot of emotion and connection there.
Absolutely. I think I would feel, sad about it and maybe sad about losing something special. But I've always known what he's wanted. Yeah. And I just want the people I'm with to feel loved and happy and free, the same way I am.
So you want people to feel loved and happy and free. But your daughter is 12. So she must have some idea of certain things, but obviously not others. How do you handle that? And what conversations do you have with her?
Well, she's always known, for example, that I sleep over at Robert's house once a week. And she had a working knowledge of sleepovers from the time she was about 6 or 7. Yeah. So she understands a sleepover is something fun that we do. And when I left for Robert's, she would say, well, have fun. And I would say, well, I will.
Yeah.
And the next morning when I came home, she'd be like, did you have a great time? And I would say, yes, I did. But like any other parent, the details of my intimate life are not for children.
Yes.
So she has an understanding of what's going on. The most important thing is that she sees me and my husband love each other. Like she sees that every day, and that provides a solid, secure foundation for her. And we sat down with her, when the book was sold, and I knew things were going to become public.
Yes, of course.
I wanted to stick the label on it and tell her, from me, this is what's going on. And her answer, I'm not going to give it away because it's chapter 14 in the book. What do you tell your daughter? But her response surprised me. And children are so wise and understanding when they have that secure foundation. And we've done our best to create that for them.
And how about your family back in the Philippines? Because, of course, as you said, it's a very, very strict country when it comes to relationships. How have they reacted?
I'm really lucky to have a wonderfully supportive family. My sister's in the studio. She flew in from Manila to be here. And my mother, I lost my father when I was really young. So my mother's always been really present for me, very compassionate, and I've always felt unconditionally loved. I think she didn't really know what to call it, but she kind of figured out that something was going on. And so when I told her a couple of years ago that I was in an open marriage, she said, do what makes you happy, and everyone in your life should be in your life for you to be more of yourself. And you will know when it's time to let go. You will know what's best for you. You're an adult. And I just felt, so accepted and loved. And I'm really lucky in that.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's a fascinating subject.
It really
thank you for
is.
sharing.
And thank you for being so honest
Absolutely.
too. Yeah.
Deirdre's here. She's been listening in. Deirdre, it's amazing listening to Deepa speaking so openly and honestly and sharing it with her family. I wonder what you make of their scenario and how it works for their marriage.
Well, I'm really glad it works for Deepa, people tell me that the book is just the most amazing read. But I'd be really worried about other people thinking that this is the way to go if what you need to do is sort out tensions and problems within your own relationship. It's funny, when I heard about Deepa's story, I must say I did think, is this part of her that just worries about trusting all her feelings to one man? And it's only now that I've just learned that actually she lost her father when she was very young. That may not just be a coincidence. So what I'd say to anybody who's thinking of going down this road is do at least first consider having counselling for your relationship, exploring the other options, sharing your feelings with one another, because it's not an instant solution. And I'd worry about the effect on children. You know, I mean, her daughter is just 12, so she's not into the teenage years yet. These are very difficult things to explore. So, I mean, I'm really happy if this is working out for Deepa, but it's not what I'd say is a way to go for everyone.
And I imagine you'd agree with that as well, to be fair.
Absolutely. I agree. It's not for everyone, but it's all about finding what works for you, what fulfills you, and never thinking you're too much, because someone will love you for just how you are.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Our first guest today managed to pull off the ultimate illusion and fooled some of the world's greatest magicians.
Now then, back in 1991, Sophie Lloyd became the first female member of the Magic Circle, despite only men being allowed to join at the time. The question is, how did she do it? By posing as a man during her audition.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that yet. That's amazing. She managed to keep the Magic Circle fooled until she revealed her true identity and promptly got kicked out.
After vanishing without a trace, she disappeared for more than 30 years. Until now, we're delighted to say that Sophie is here to tell her story alongside the first female chair of the Magic Circle, Laura London. Good morning to both of you. It's lovely to have you here.
Morning.
Sophie, you're a hard person to track down.
Yes.
You went missing for 30... You didn't strictly go missing, of course, but you went missing for 30 years, and Laura has managed to drag you back in. Laura, it's an extraordinary story, this now.
Oh,
you are the first female chair of the Magic Circle. Can you explain, just in case anybody doesn't know, what the Magic Circle is and why it exists?
Well, of course. Well, the Magic Circle is a magic society that's been around since 1905. So, in fact, this year we're celebrating 120 years with lots of celebrations and events, which is amazing. I mean, but of course it's changed, it's evolved in all of these, the times that we've had over these decades, to a place now where we have this incredible building in the heart of London where magicians all come together, where every Monday they learn magic and come to see lectures and shows, and you can also come and see events. So it's a really special place. And I mean, it's always been a special place. We've got 1,800 members, with our latest being Sophie Lloyd, of course. And
I bet you
it's a place where magicians can learn magic and get together and share.
But getting into the Magic Circle isn't easy.
Really
It's
tough.
still very strict, isn't it? What are the criteria?
Well, it's incredibly hard. Of course, you have to do an exam in front of examiners. You perform magic. You are judged, or you are scored based on your presentation and skill. So you have to have both of those in spades to pass. And well, we know someone that managed to do that. So yeah, it's not an easy thing to get into. And and as a consequence of that, all the magicians that get together share really, really extraordinary magic.
Yeah. So, Sophie, how did you first get into magic, and what made you want to be a part of the Magic Circle?
Well, I came to London from Devon, where I was staying at the time, and I went to mime school in Hammersmith, and I met a magician who was there at the same time. And we got very, very friendly with each other. I mean, a dear friend. And she desperately wanted to get into the Magic Circle, but they just wouldn't let men in. Anyway.
Because it was only men allowed back then?
Yes, only men in the night. Yeah, only men. And so Jenny one day said to me, and this is not to do with this particular thing, she said to me, you know, I've got an idea. You could play, would you like to be my assistant?
Right.
And I thought, oh, yeah, that's good. I was a young actress, you know.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, you know, it was all dazzle then in the 80s and 90s. So I thought, yeah, I could do that, you know. I really thought...
Stars in your eyes.
Oh, I loved it. And she goes, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. Oh, no, I'm going to... No, men have women and women have men. You're going to be male. And I went, oh, okay.
And so you were disappointed about the idea of having to play a male character?
But yeah, I was actually. And so I went over initially to play Claude, not seriously. I had an island wig and we did show after show after show. Went on really well, took it all over London. And then she said to me, I've got the most wonderful idea. You could play my little boy. And I thought, oh, yeah, I could do that. It's easier to play a boy anyway. And so I was small, etc. But we still had to do the pretense of getting a body made, you know, the foam body, you had plumpers in those days on braces to pull out your face, because I was in my 20s.
Yes, OK, yeah.
I looked younger in a proper wig, not a nylon one this time, etc. Anyway, looked really, really good. And then we were doing a gig, and she took this boy everywhere. Went to Hippodrome, went to Stringfellas, even so much that we actually went to, and she said to me, you know, why don't we go to a children's agency and say how good you are? And I mean, it's a big one. And I went, oh, I don't know. Yeah, OK, let's go for it. And they totally loved it. The little boy did, he was 12, he did...
And they all thought you were a little boy?
Oh, yeah.
No one at any point...
Absolutely not.
So when did the idea to take Timmy Potter, I think was the name of the character, right? When was the idea to get Timmy Potter to audition for the Magic Circle?
Right, how it happened was, they actually took me on the books. And
the Child's Agency?
Yes, 3 weeks later, but obviously I didn't, you know, couldn't do that because of no. But anyway, and then she was really impressed with that. That was it. She thought, wow, this is brilliant. So we did a gig. I was staying over one night, banged on my door and said, I've got the most amazing idea.
She had a lot of amazing ideas, didn't she?
And I went, oh, no, not another one. She said, you can play 18. And I said, well, there's no one play 18, come on, the voice, etc. No, you don't understand. You never understood anything. And so anyway, we can do this. After a lot of talking, I became Raymond.
Oh, so this was the alter ego that then went on to audition for the Magic Circle.
Yep.
So what did you actually have to do, and how long did you keep the subterfuge up for?
This is much more complicated because we took it really quite serious, this one. You know, it took 18 months. We had to completely transform him from a child, you know, back to the wig makers again. And we had an older wig made for an older child.
Yes.
You know, an 18-year-old for that era. We had to work on he's kept the glasses, actually, didn't change it. But the plumpers had to be changed. And they're on braces, a bit of plastic either side, and you put them on. But this had to be more elongated.
So it's significant. I mean, you're not just walking in and you're really going to town on the whole look and the feel. So how did you feel when you auditioned? Because getting into the Magic Circle, as we've just been discussing, is not easy.
No, it wasn't. And also we had to have a new body made because it had a more older body and it wore gloves.
And then to disguise your hands.
Yes, with a little boy, you didn't have to do that.
Does that make magic trickier, though, because you've got gloves on?
And what about your voice, Sophie?
Well, that was it, you see. It was a silent act done to the entertainer, the piano rag music.
Of course, Scott Joplin.
Yes, that's right. I have that as a ringtone on my phone.
Still now?
Yeah, even now. Don't I? And, that was much harder. The actual... Jenny taught me for 18 months and she was amazing. It's all Jenny's idea.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have to say, I'm not, you know, she was a brilliant magician. She worked with many top magicians.
She sounds like a proper mastermind as well.
Yeah, she does.
It was all Jenny's idea, yeah. And we did Jenny did the whole routine. She played my manager that went to she was brilliant, actually. It was a 20-minute routine. And you could either choose your own venue or you could do it at headquarters. And we thought, no, we do our own venue. And we performed in front of 200 people and 3 examiners.
Yes.
And it was, it all went well.
Wow.
And you got in?
Yeah.
Well.
No laryngitis.
Oh, yeah. And it all went, we did a lot of sleight of magic and big pyrotechnics, which was my thing at the time. I love pyrotechnics. Couldn't do that now because you couldn't. But at the end, they just wanted us to... I didn't expect this. I just think they said, oh, hello, that was OK, let you know. Oh, no. Jenny said, oh, no, we've got to go out and talk to him. I said, I can't. She said, just do it, only be a few minutes, have a bad throat. And I went, oh, it's really bad throat. I'm really, really sorry about this. Anyway, he brought me pint. And it went on 1 hour and 3/4.
Chatting to him
The
with a bad
level of
throat.
subterfuge.
So you've got in, you fooled them all, which must have been fabulous. But then when eventually they decided they were going to let in women and you explained finally you could reveal the fact you were a woman, what was their reaction?
That was disappointing. I mean, I wasn't too bothered, but Jenny was mortified. When she found out that women were actually being let in, she gave them actual, I don't know how she did it, I think it was just a telephone actually, call. And she said to me the next day, well, that didn't go well. Anyway, we left it because she was so excited. She knew these people, a lot of them were her friends. And she said to them, she thought they were going, oh, you're so clever, Jenny,
Yeah,
and
of
all
course.
this, that, the other. And it was so different. 3 days later, we got a letter to say, right, you're expelled. And she was so upset.
Oh.
And we went to a convention as me. I never went as me. I wore blonde wig as Sophie and always went differently. And they snubbed her. But however, things have changed. We're going back 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah. And now, Laura, things have changed. And now women can be let in.
Well, yes, in 1991 they let women in. I was 8 years old when I fell in love with magic, but I'm very grateful to the fact that when I started discovering magic, women were allowed in. So I didn't really know any different. I can't imagine what it was like for someone like Jenny, who couldn't get in, who was going around doing extraordinary magic.
Yeah.
In fact, Jenny even performed at the headquarters in 1999 for the members on a members' night and got a letter, which I've seen, that says, thank you for such a brilliant show. The members loved it. So, yes, it's changed because I can't imagine what that was like being her. And now, though, we're such an inclusive, different place. I mean, I should say we actually snuck Sophie in before the big reveal on a members' night, and we put her in the corner, and when any members came over, we said, oh, meet our friend Raina. Nobody suspected a thing, which was amazing. Now, of course, it's very different. Everyone knows who she is.
And
In
she's
fact,
back where she should be.
yesterday we took her to a members' night, and she was there as a full member of the Magic Circle.
The star of the show.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you both for joining us. You're going to do a trick for us. We've run out of time a little bit, so what we're going to do is we're going to record the trick in the break, and then we'll put that on the app so you can see the trick that we were going to have here. But unfortunately, because it's such an incredible story, and we've told it so beautifully, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for coming in.
Oh,
Thank you.
It's absolutely fine. It's a
Lovely.
pleasure.
Thrilled that
to
you're
see
back in where you should be as
Thank
well.
you.
It's really lovely.
Thank you.
And we'll try and dig out and put it on the app, your original appearance on This Morning, all those
Yes,
years
that'd be
ago. as well.
wonderful.
That'd be really lovely. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Joining us now is Carol and Stephen's daughter, Ellie, who was accused of her parents' murder, alongside the case's senior investigating officer, Detective Inspector Lydia George. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for coming on the show. Ellie, I'm going to start with you. We've watched the documentary. It's incredibly powerful. But right from the very beginning, you can tell what a lovely house you grew up in and how much you adored your parents. What were they like? The scenes of you dancing with your mum, and she was so full of life.
Yeah, she really was. She was a very bubbly, outgoing person, and she just loved to live. They were both very strong, willful people, and yeah, it was just, they were lovely. They were really lovely.
So when did you first meet Luke, you and the rest of your family?
Yeah, we first met Luke. He was actually introduced by a friend. Mum had her own business, and he was an IT whiz, and he actually was hired to help with the IT side of my mum's business. So that is how we initially met him.
So it became part of your parents' life and all of your lives. And then your mum's health deteriorated significantly, didn't she? She had a strange condition that really affected how she lived, didn't it?
Yeah, she had the condition anyway, but the understanding of it as she got older, her going through hormonal changes then affected the condition. So that was kind of the understanding that he led us all to believe. And then it just went downhill from there.
And she got progressively more and more poorly. The condition seemed to really take a hold of her. And then she started communicating with a person called Dr. Andrea from the States. How did that happen?
So once again, I mean, I obviously too was manipulated. So my understanding of that is that my mum had reached out to a doctor, and then a year or so later, she then got back in touch. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Whether it was just an email and that's how that started, I'm not sure. But she was a doctor that specialises with thyroid issues, and yeah, it was a massive relief actually to have someone to be able to help us navigate this condition.
And this doctor was offering guidance all the way through on what your mum should be doing, how she should be moving. Like, literally, it was governing every part of her life in the hope that it was going to sort of help her with the condition, the thyroid condition that she was struggling with.
Yeah, it was everything, you know, how much rest she got, what types of food she would eat, how much sugar she would consume, her social interactions, just absolutely everything.
And her condition progressed really quickly, didn't it? Like, what was she like, your mum, in the later stages when your dad, Stephen, was taking care of her?
So it was about a good year and a half, 2 years of her slowly getting worse and worse. And by the end of it, I mean, she was out of it. She couldn't speak, she couldn't communicate properly. She was very uncomfortable. She was itchy. She was in quite a lot of pain. And she was just absolutely stripped of her life.
And she was really desperate, and so was your dad too.
Yeah, I think we all were. We had no idea how to help her get better, and it was really sad to see someone you love deteriorate like that.
And it got to the point where, early on the 9th of April 2023, you went round to your parents' house. You hadn't been in touch with them. You hadn't been able to get in touch with them for a couple of days. You're getting a little bit worried. What happened that day when you got to the house?
Well, I actually went round the day before, and my dad, I was there most days, and my dad said he wanted a bit of a break, and I've got a young family, so I said, of course, and I drove past the house, and everything just looked normal, the blinds were down, and by the next morning, I still hadn't heard from them. I drove past the house again, and the blinds were still down, and my dad would methodically get up and do that. He'd do that ritualously. And that is when I knew something was wrong. And I got out the car, went round the back of the house, and I saw Mum and Dad both there. It was very obvious to me that they had passed. The skin discoloration, and it was really, really horrible. And the house was locked. I couldn't get in. So we ended up smashing our way in. It was very traumatic, to be honest.
In the documentary, it's such a striking moment, Ellie, because we can, on the CCTV footage, you can hear you screaming, trying to get to them, trying to wake them up.
Yeah.
And you keep saying she's done something really stupid. What was your concern?
Well, at that point with her illness, she was getting very confused. I mean, at one point she was ironing my dad's shirt on top of the stove, and things like that. She'd put bleach, in a cup of tea, and she was just, all the signals in her brain were just getting completely mixed up. So my first thought was like, oh my gosh, she's cooked something and they've ingested something, and I really thought that it was a mistake that she'd done.
And then you were actually one of the suspects. In the initial kind of investigation, you were a suspect, and so was Luke.
Yeah, no, that is right. That was certainly another interesting day.
And then when you took over, what was your kind of thinking?
So I came in on the bank holiday Monday. I was on call, and I read the incident over the weekend, and nothing about it seemed right. 2 people don't die like that together.
No.
So there had to be a reason why they died, which was my job to find out and to find the truth. So following the post-mortem at the scene, there was, as I said, there was no signs of forced entry, obvious signs of suicide, and their bodies were unremarkable. It was quite a long wait to get the toxicology back, 12 weeks, and then when that came back, there was a fatal dose of fentanyl in Stephen Baxter's blood, and a fatal dose of fentanyl in Carol's blood, and also a double fatal dose of promethazine in Carol's blood. So at that time, that was the obvious cause of death and why they died, but it was then trying to find out how and why. How
it had been administered, who had actually done it. Was it an accident that had been performed? As Ellie thought maybe her mum had done something because she, in her confused state. So as the senior investigating officer, you're trying to coordinate all of this and get into the evidence of what might have happened. It was at this stage, Ellie, I think you discovered a letter, didn't you? Because at the time, this Dr. Andrea was still controlling things. This Dr. Andrea, who had been governing and guiding your mum's life for such a long time, had just sort of such a pervading sense of control over all of you in a way.
Yeah, so I actually found the letter, and actually it's only recently I've realised I was actually manipulated even into finding the letter, because there was another fake persona named Jenny that I was in very close contact with, and I had told her that my parents had passed away, and she said, right, well, this is what you need to do. My husband's parents, like when his dad died, you know, this is what we've done. You need to go through and get a bank account number for all of the banks. You need to go through and get all this and that. And it was in the banking folder that I had found this fake will. So even that decision, it actually did stem from Luke himself again, you know.
So it took you 3 months to get all the blood work back, and then you started going through all the technological side, the tech side of Luke's kind of phones, his computers. What did you start to find?
So I don't know how he had time to sleep. We'd seize like 18 phones, numerous laptops, and going through all the digital evidence was just a task. Initially, before we had the toxicology, we had Dr. Andrea Bowden and these different people, the solicitor of the will, and we were trying to get in contact with them. And I guess where we were emailing him and trying to get in contact, you know, we were obviously contacting Luke, not knowing it was him, and he wasn't replying. It was only until sort of a bit later on, as we were going through stuff, that the sort of penny dropped, and we realised that actually he posed as many different personas, and there was so much sort of that was intrinsic to each bit of the investigation. It took a really large team to try and understand, you know, all the lies, manipulation. As Ellie said, you know, she was just as much of a victim as her parents.
Must have been absolutely extraordinary, though, Ellie, and amongst all of this, that you were one of the suspects as well. Until Lydia and the team could finally start unpicking what it was that Luke had been doing, to have that glare of suspicion on you when you'd been so devoted to your parents must have been horrendous.
Yeah, I was about 7 months pregnant when I got the knock at the door. And it just, you know, it was, hang on, like, you know, I'm being arrested for one. And then it was, you know, when they said, you know, you're being arrested on suspicion for the murder of Carol and Stephen Baxter, I just, I mean, where do you even go? And it took a few minutes. It was like, hang on, wait, murder? That means they have been murdered? And then it was just slowly piecing it all together. And I think when I found Mum and Dad, I've never felt an emotional pain physically hurt so much, and it really, really affected me. I was early pregnant with my daughter, and it really did, you know, hurt my body. And I think I just went into that protection mode, and I just needed to not let myself get too hysterical.
And one of the most painful things I was reading in the paper today, that you've had to move away from the area you live because that cast of suspicion is still on you. One of the things that's most important about the documentary, because lots of people respected this Luke DeWitt within in the area. People liked him. They knew he wasn't. They're still suspicious that it was you and not him.
Yeah, even still, I mean, you know, if I go into the shop, you know, people do look away and, you know, all that type of thing. And it's, now I just kind of want everything ruled out. It's always the people that are saying that are still suspicious that did not go to the trial and didn't attend and, you know, and won't listen to the facts. And, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, you know. No. So we shall see.
It's an extraordinary case. Did we ever, or do you think you ever got to the bottom of why he did it?
In all honesty, only he knows why he's done it. You know, initially we thought it was a financial motive, which it wasn't.
Because the fake will was just useless. I mean, it was your child could have written it.
Absolutely. You know, it was, as Ellie said, it was. I just think it was a sadistic pleasure, control, manipulation. You know, I don't know how long he'd pre-planned this. Like I said, only he will know. But it was a long campaign against them.
Well, look, I hope it brings you some closure, Ellie, particularly with those people that still are suspicious of exactly what happened. Because the first episode of Essex Millionaire Murders airs tonight on 9 o'clock on ITV1 and is on ITVX now as well. It's an extraordinary, extraordinary two-part documentary. Thank you for sharing the story.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Only in America.
It's all good fun, isn't it? Joining us now, the man with the world's fastest sperm, Tristan Milker, and the guy who came second, Asher Proger. Good morning, guys. Good morning. First of all, I should say congratulations, Tristan. How does it feel to be the champion?
Thank you. I mean, I feel amazing. It's a record that nobody else has ever held before, so I'm proud to wear that on my belt. It's going to be a great thing to put on my resume.
And Asher, commiserations. Sadly, your sperm just wasn't up to it in the end.
Sadly, it was not. I think I need to do more training, take it more serious, you know, maybe rework my approach, but
OK, so tell me something. How were you two selected to represent?
Yeah, I can start. So there was a man named Dick Gay, which is a leader of the company. He's kind of a person that was putting forward the efforts to, get everybody to this event and with marketing and everything. He came to my door and he knocked and he asked me if I wanted to be a sperm racing athlete. And I thought he was insane. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a joke. But I did a little bit more research and I talked to him a little further and found out about the rapidly declining fertility rates, not in just America, but worldwide. And I realized this is a real issue that we need to talk about. And I wanted to better myself. So I inhabited a lot of really great new habits for myself. I started eating a lot better. I started taking care of myself more. And, it worked out well for me.
So I mean, there is a very serious point behind this, but of course it makes for thoroughly entertaining viewing and hearing all about it. Asha, I mean, what was your reaction when you were approached and how did you get into shape for the big race?
So my experience was similar. I had the same man come up. He's dressed in a suit, might I add, and he's like 6'7", which makes it even more intimidating and funny. But he came and he offered me a challenge, and it basically was, I'll just say it was a challenge, all right. And if I could complete the challenge, I was allowed to be the sperm racer because it showed I was really on fire and I wanted to be a sperm racer. So I thought it was insane, but he said he would Venmo me money right away. I did the challenge. He Venmoed me the money and I realized it was legit. So then I joined and I started getting in shape and more of a, I started taking supplements and stuff. But other than that, I already was working out, eating clean, making sure I got to bed on time, all that. So I didn't change all that much, but I did definitely start taking supplements I hadn't before.
So what you're saying is this actually is a professional sport because you both got paid money to donate and to take part in the race, didn't you, Tristan?
Yeah, we got money every single week in order to enhance our biometers. So that means, buying correct foods that are rich in zinc, antioxidants, going to the gym every single day. I got a dietitian by my side. I had personal trainers. This is a real professional sport. And I know it sounds very silly, especially to people that haven't heard about it. I've become a little bit desensitized to it, but it is a real thing that you can train for. The more healthy you are, the more healthy your sperm is.
And what about, can we just talk, well, two things. What was it like watching your sperm race? Because we're watching this, they've sort of AI'd it up a bit, haven't they? They've gamified what actually was happening to make it more engaging to watch. But what was that like, Asha, for you guys, watching the sperms race along that track?
Well, I'll say for me, it was very terrifying after that first one because I was like, am I about to get slimed? Like, am I about to get covered in this $2,000 racing suit I just got? But we didn't know exactly what it would look like. So it was very, we didn't know who would win, obviously. It was completely real. We don't know what it looked like. So when they came really close and then tied and his barely beat mine, that was intense, I will say. But it was basically a live rendering of the actual sperm positioning on a racetrack. And then they took that data and transmade it in through like Unity or through Unreal Engine or whatever. And that's where we see the animation.
I mean, I love the two of you eyeballing each other at the same time and the drama of it. What's the prize you win? Do you win, is it just bragging rights essentially, or do you win a prize?
I mean, I get to brag all day long to my school, but I also won $10,000.
Wow. Well, look, congratulations to the two of you. You've properly entered into the spirit of it, which is hugely important, and it is a bigger subject as well. And we thoroughly enjoyed meeting you both. Best of luck for next year. Asha, maybe if you put a bit more hard work in, your sperms might be up to it.
Hopefully. That is entirely the goal. We want to make this a sport, so we're going to have tons more races. We don't know exactly when the next one is, but I will be training hard. Hopefully they'll let me compete again. I don't know what Tristan's future holds, but his is probably bright as well.
Well, unquestionably, he's got super fast sperm. It's very bright. Yeah. Thank you both for joining us. We're in the studio now, joined by Britain's foremost authority on men's fertility, urologist Jonathan Ramsey. Jonathan, thank you for joining us. I mean, it's thoroughly entertaining for us to talk about, to laugh about the nature of this, but there is a really serious point to what they've done, isn't there?
Well, there is, and I think they're to be congratulated for actually doing it, because men are typically reluctant even to talk about their fertility, let alone to enter into a sperm race. So I think these two guys are to be congratulated, and they've brought awareness, because awareness is really the first stage of trying to correct something that may not be quite right.
And fertility rates have dropped. Why is that?
Well, they have, and there's been a huge amount of scientific argument. And like many scientific arguments, there are the protagonists and the antagonists. The more famous you are, the more likely you are to take a didactic stand. But I think we can probably all agree at this stage, after a great deal of research, that sperm counts are declining worldwide. Now, whether this actually impacts on fertility rates is a separate and consequential argument.
There are some myths about this as well. It was interesting hearing Tristan and Asha talk about the fact that they didn't really understand that there was lots of things that they could do to improve the speed and the robust nature of their sperm. But can we run through some of these myths, and you can either bust them or explain why they exist? Is that all right? OK, firstly, alcohol. If you consume more than 14 units a week spread across 3 days or more, that will affect your sperm.
I think we can say yes.
That is true.
And there is a linear relationship. So the greater the intake, the more the effect.
Men who've had children remain fertile forever.
Oh, that's certainly a myth.
Really?
I think we, the blokes, Ben and I and the boys, should start thinking that probably biologically it's not dissimilar from women.
Right.
So from our late 30s onwards, we may be becoming less fertile, because it's not only the sperm that wins the race, but the quality of that sperm. What happens to him when he's say won the race? Is he going to produce a decent embryo and offspring?
What about stress? Stress can ruin your sperm.
Crikey, that's a difficult one, because it's so difficult to measure stress itself, and then to relate that to a variable biological phenomenon, which is a sperm count.
Yes.
But if you ask me what I think, it would be unlikely if it didn't, because all those stressor hormones are not great.
This is an old wives' tale, but I do know plenty of friends who've actually done this.
Tried it.
You're more likely to get pregnant if you conceive with your legs in the air.
Oh, that's a wonderful one. Myth, certainly a myth. I mean, what that sperm race actually showed was that these little chaps move very quickly along a pretty short trajectory, which is in nature from the top of the vagina to meet the egg as it crosses the fallopian tube. So actually, these little chaps get on with it fast, and where your legs are won't make any difference.
Did it work for your friends?
Some did, but again, it's just probability.
It was worth trying. And one last one. Boy sperm and girl sperm swim at different speeds.
So behind that is whether you get more or less boys or girls, depending upon what you do. In nature, biologically, that doesn't seem to make any difference. You get the same number of boy babies as you get girl babies. If you do something in the lab, though, you might be able to detect a difference in how they move.
You spin it or something.
Well, the girl ones might be a bit heavier. Because the X chromosome is a bit bigger than the Y.
Right. Okay.
Of course.
I could chat to you.
I thought it was that the girls swam a lot faster, but they tired out longer, and the boys would. So it was more of a marathon for the boys, and so if the girls eventually got tired, the boys would get there to the end.
Like the Joel Dommett.
I'm not sure you just compared Joel Dommett. That's one character we haven't seen on the Marked Singer yet, isn't it?
That X chromosome, it's in control.
Always. Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan. It was lovely to chat to you.
As fun as that has been, it is a really serious subject, and I'm glad we could talk about it.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Our next guest, 86-year-old Janet, was caring for her husband, a dementia sufferer, when she received a phone call that would change her life forever.
The person on the line claimed to be a police officer, and what followed was a very sophisticated scam, leading Janet unknowingly to handing over £5,000 to fraudsters.
Janet joins us now to share her story alongside her son, Joel, and Elaine Crate from the Senior Fraud Manager at Hertfordshire Police. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming. Janet, firstly, we're so sorry that you've had to go through this, but incredibly proud of you for feeling confident enough to come and tell your story, because I know it's not easy.
No.
Take us back to that phone call you got. It was sort of April, I think, last year, wasn't it?
April the 14th. He called for 3 days, over a period of 3 days consecutively, 10:15 and 1 o'clock. He said he was calling me from Hammersmith Police Station to tell me that my card had been, somebody attempted to use my card the previous night at midnight to buy £94.72 worth of petrol, and from there they went to an Argos all-night store to try to buy furniture. But I was very lucky because my card somehow or the other would refused, and he didn't get away with that. After that, he said that the next phone call was the lunchtime the following day. He said that our bank account had been compromised and that £38,000 had been taken out and finished up being deposited in a bank in Germany. But he said that our bank had red flagged it, and that was where the police came on the scene, and they had managed to get our money back for us, and I wasn't to worry because it was in our bank account. At that point, he said, I suppose I ought to introduce myself, and I'm DC Harris, and I'm working with the fraud unit at Hammersmith Police Station, because that's where they do all the main fraud inquiries. And he said, we've got to, I'm going to tell you 2 names, and he gave me the 2 names, John Willocks and Derek Okalangu. Did I know these people? I said, no, I'd never heard of them. He said, well, they are part of a crime gang. They are targeting St Albans. They are targeting particularly vulnerable people like yourself. So I said, well, I've never heard of them. He said, well, we've got to try and find a way to catch these people. Actually, he said, they are in custody, these 2. But he said, we do feel that there is a 3rd accomplice, and we've got to try to trap this person. I said, right. He mentioned that second day that they were advising people to buy goods that were redeemable afterwards. So I said, oh. So he said, how would you feel about buying jewellery? Well, I had to give a wry smile. My husband had a friend that was a jeweller.
Really?
So the last thing in the world I needed was jewellery. But I said, well, what do you mean? How do you go about it? Previous to that, I had said, no, listen to me. I don't know who you are. I said, I know who you say you are, but you could be Uncle Tom Cobley or Doctor Who for all I know. Yes, he said, well, I tell you what we're going to do. When I finish speaking to you, you dial 999. We went through this charade of dialing 999, the operator answer you, you say you're speaking to DC Harris at
Hammersmith.
And if they could reconnect you, he said, she should ask you for my badge number, which I'm going to give you now. So he gave me the badge number. I gave the badge number to the operator, and she then
reconnected you?
Reconnected me to him.
Yes.
So I mean, it's extraordinary, the detail of this, and your retention of the detail is mesmerising.
You're amazing.
But we can already see how sophisticated this whole thing was. But just going back to that, Janet, so you supposedly called 999, you spoke to the operator, thinking you were actually talking to a police operator, but you hadn't actually disconnected on the landline, had you? So he was in control of that whole part of it.
They'd hooked up my phone. And also, in the interim time, of course, he said, have you got a mobile? And I said, oh, yes. I said, I don't use it, though. It's horrible. Well, we had the mobile thing, and he then rang me on the mobile, and he hooked up the mobile so I couldn't use the mobile to make an outgoing call.
So
and
somehow
he kept that line open all of the time. He spoke to me every time he spoke to me. All the time I was driving into town with my husband by my side. The phone was there.
Because the advice was that they suggested, in order to protect your bank account,
Yes.
to go and buy some watches.
That's right. He said, have you heard of Rolex watches? I said, everybody's heard of Rolex watches. You don't buy them, though. Oh, well, he said, if you... did I know this particular jewellers? Well, I'm a local girl, so I said, yes, I did. So he said, well, if you go down there, he said, have a look at their latest model. He said, and then find one that's a bit cheaper. He said, that should come up to about £43,000.
Which was your life savings? That's what you had in the bank?
That was our dual life-saving account.
Yeah.
I have my own account at Barclays and David has his own account at NatWest.
Yeah.
But this was a savings account within Santander.
So you had to go to the bank and withdraw the money?
Yes. And we had to go and look at the watches first, which were amazing, you can imagine.
Yeah.
Then we made our way to the bank and he did impress upon me that before you leave the jewellers, you must get their banker's details so that when you get to the bank, the bank can make out the details for the money for the watches. So I said, oh, all right, OK. It's very difficult to get my husband about. He can't walk very well now.
Not very well.
But nevertheless, we went to the bank and I said, it was extraordinary. When do you ever walk in a bank or a post office and there's not a queue? There was nobody in there, no other clients, no...
Just one of those quiet days.
No bank personnel walking around with a piece of paper in their hand like they normally are. No meter and greeter, no, nothing. So we walked up to the counter. The young man that served me was there on the left. He was in garb, in uniform. There was a man older on the right in a navy blue suit. But as we approached the counter, he disappeared and we never saw him again. We only ever saw...
The person behind the cashier, essentially.
Yeah.
So then you withdrew the money, you went to Rolex, you purchased the exact models that were requested.
Yes.
You brought them back to your house, and then when you had them at your house, they sent a courier.
That's right. That's right. I got back to the car. I had to take my husband back to the car first because he couldn't walk any further.
Yeah.
Collected the watches. The young junior chap from the jewellers, the manager sent him with me because it's market day. He said, you can't take those through the market. They put them in a Tesco bag and a Marks and Spencer's bag, very old worn bag, so that people wouldn't recognise them.
To look ordinary,
I said thank you. I got in the car and the scammer said to me on my mobile, are you in the car now, Janet? I said, yes. He said, have you got the watches? I said, yes. He said, I expect you'd like to go home now, wouldn't you? I said, well, I need to because of my husband. I said, we've got an insulin injection to do now. I said, well, we must go home. So he said, I'll speak to you when you get home then. So we motored home, came in, kettle on, insulin injection. He was on the phone. And I thought, I haven't prepared any vegetables yet. I haven't got any dinner yet. I haven't done this now.
It's a very busy day. A very busy day.
So the long and the short of it is, because we could listen to you all day, and I think you could talk all day, which is wonderful.
We could just sit over there and we could stay for the rest of the show.
Told you I could talk for a minute.
I love it. I love it.
But I mean, the awful thing is, they sent this courier to collect the watches.
He had everything off pat. There was no way that he was going to let you off. So I would say to anybody else, you've got to think who you are. You've got to think what you would say, what you're prepared to do. And
when did you realise, though, Janet, that all of this had been a scam and that the watches had been taken and stolen by these scammers?
Not until he sent the courier, because, of course, he wanted me to go to Hammersmith, and I said, absolutely no way. The young boy came. He was only a juvenile.
So there's another person that's part of this scam, clearly. A young lad involved.
But he never spoke. He came to the front door and the scammer said to me, can you give him the watches now? But I'd like to speak to him. And he had a few words with the youngster, gave him the watches and off they went. Well, then, of course, I came back in and dinner was on the go and all of this. And then all of a sudden, there was nobody on the phone and I didn't have anything else to think of except what we were doing. And I thought, oh, wait a minute.
What have I done?
Yes, I haven't got my money. I haven't got the watches. The enormity of it just it just fills you up, and I just went numb.
Yeah.
I couldn't think, and then I thought, don't be so stupid. This wouldn't happen. This is all right. He'll be on the phone in a minute, telling you about he's got the watches and etc. etc. What's the next step we do?
Yes.
But of course, no telephone call came.
No.
And you at that point, you just don't know what to do, except what you've got to do, which is what I had to do with my husband. When you're a carer, that person comes first. Of
course.
Yeah.
And you've got to do what you've got to do.
Of course you do. And Joel, then you found out about it as well. How did you feel? Because obviously Janet has been completely bamboozled by this situation, but remembers she's so incredibly bright and articulate and remembers everything about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just devastating on all counts, really. And you know what I think's worse is, you know, Mum feels stupid in all of this, and
Shouldn't feel that, Janet.
That's I guess a natural reaction to why did I do this? How could I have been conned in this way? But the scammer was so convincing, pretending to be a police officer. You know,
it was so intricate as well. There's so many people.
And when
involved.
I challenged him the second time, and I said, "Look, I'm very uneasy about this." I said, "You want me to go to the bank, take out our money, where to all intents and purposes it's safe?" And he said to me, "But it's not safe, is it, Mrs. Day? Because we told you had £38,000 deposited in Germany." And I thought, oh no.
Elaine, you're part of the senior fraud team at Hertfordshire Police,
Yes.
which is where Janet lives. It's a heartbreaking tale to hear someone as bright and as switched on and as eloquent as Kat says, as Janet, being scammed in such a sophisticated way.
Absolutely. I speak to thousands of, I hate to use the word victims, but victims of fraud. Hertfordshire Police, we have a bespoke fraud hub set up to, you know, contact anyone who has been scammed. And I met Janet last year, and I'm privileged to have been part of her journey, but it's absolutely devastating. These scams are so elaborate. I always call them lazy burglars. They don't have to climb through a window. They can, you know, I get animated with my hands, get very excited about fraud, but they can, you know, make that phone call, trick you. It's absolutely devastating. So we're with Janet to get her through this, and we'll be with her right to the very end.
So do you have any really clear advice for anybody sitting at home who's watching this and going, well, Janet's so bright, she was conned by it.
Yeah.
What would be your advice?
Number one, massive red flag. The police, please, whoever's kind of watching this, the police would never, ever ask you to, you know, engage in an undercover operation. There's a problem with your bank account. They'd never ask you for your PIN number. They just don't operate like that. That's the same for banks as well. Anybody calling asking for personal information. They're actors. They play their part very well, and they're very convincing. I would suggest screen your calls. If you were to receive a telephone call and you do answer your call, answer your telephone and somebody's speaking to you, and they ask you to call back to 999 or call the bank back or whatever, then I would call the genuine bank or the 101 999 from another device if you have it. If you don't have another device, to make sure that that line has been cleared and they're not still on there, I'd pick up the phone, I'd dial a trusted friend. When you hear their name, then basically you know that line has been cleared. But just take 5 minutes, step back and think, right, look at it as if a stranger was coming up to you in the street and I was to come up to you and say, can I have a look in your wallet or your purse? You'd say no. Treat every phone call like that. Why do you want to know? Who are you? They're a stranger, you don't know them. But they're very convincing.
Yeah.
And like Janet said, you know, the amount of victims I've spoken to, they have shame, they're embarrassed, they don't know who to turn to. And, you know, we're here to support Janet, you know, through everything. We have like a bespoke, we're not here as like an investigation point of view, but we're here to empower victims to know they can approach the bank to say, look, can you have a look at this? You know, we've helped victims, and to date we've up to just under 5 million recovered just through empowering victims to approach banks.
So sadly for Janet, the Ombudsman has ruled that she can't claim the money back, or the bank don't have to give her the money back. I'm not sure, I mean, I don't know what you made of that ruling.
Well, obviously, you know, I'm not here to be disrespectful to any banking organisation or the Financial Ombudsman. What I would say, after speaking to thousands of victims since the Fraud Hub was established in 2019, with the evidence, you know, that Janet has provided, what's happened to her, walking into a bank with her husband, who sadly has dementia. On one hand, the scammers on the telephone in there withdrawing a lot of money. It's unusual transactions. Watch scams are prevalent. For me, basically, I think a red flag should have gone up there.
So Santander have said, we have every sympathy for the customer targeted by criminals who carry out these scams. Our investigation decision was not to refund Mrs. Day, which the Financial Ombudsman Service agreed with, found that the transaction Mrs. Day made on her Santander account was sent to genuine business and the watches were received as expected. And the Ombudsman said, being the victim of fraud or scam can be deeply distressing. Our decisions are based on several factors, including the evidence brought to us by both consumers and businesses, the relevant law or regulation that applied at the time. I wonder how you feel about it, though, Janet.
I feel very unhappy about it. I feel that I was made a victim by the scammer, I was made a victim by the bank, and I feel as though I'm a victim by the Ombudsman. I don't understand why the Ombudsman's report says he's satisfied that the bank did everything possible to avoid this, but the bank did nothing. There was nobody in the bank, only the young chap that went and activated the banker's remission. How can I prove that? There wasn't anybody there. So what investigation? Who said what? We don't know. We haven't been privileged.
Well, they'll argue that they've been through the process, they've listened to all the evidence, and that's what they've come up with, which, sadly, is the way it is. The most important thing for our viewers, though, Janet, if you've been brave enough to come and share your story.
Absolutely.
So even if it helps one person listen to what Jane has said and think about that, if someone phones, put the phone down, but try phoning someone else on another call, speak to your son and say, what do you think of this? Or speak to somebody.
Give yourself some time. That's what Alice Beer always says about any scam. Just give yourself...
Get a call blocker. Forget the socks for Christmas. Get a call blocker. That's amazing. You know, put them on there. Family can have the codes to get through. And basically, you've got peace of mind. If you've got elderly family, not just elderly, but anyone, you've got peace of mind. They're safe and secure.
Thank you.
It's an amazing number of calls that are abortive, Joel, aren't there?
Yeah, so we have got a call blocker system that the victim support installed for us immediately after the event. And in the last 12 months, 67% of incoming calls are scam or unknown.
Wow, 67% shows how important they can be. Thank you all for coming
on and drawing attention to it.
If you've been affected by any of the issues that we've been discussing today, and the help and guidance is available on
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.